List answer so that you can hear yourself in the recording. Okay, yes. So characteristics of a perfect competition project. And we're going to see in real life which what can we classify as perfect competition. Yes, characteristics of the perfect competition. Maybe I start. Firms are price takers. All right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes. So firms are price takers. Many buyers and sellers. What does homogeneous mean? Yes. Homogeneous product. Firms are selling the same product. For example, people who sell tomatoes, people who sell village chicken, people who sell broilers chicken. All right. Those are the ones we can liken to this perfect competition model. So now first I have to draw the graph so that we should be able to interpret if the firm is in the short run or in the long run, and we can be able to interpret our cost curves. So demand in a perfect competition is perfectly elastic. Colleagues, what do we mean by perfect elastic? When you say perfectly elastic, what does that mean? When we say demand is perfectly elastic, remember when we did elasticity, price elasticity of demand, we said price elasticity of demand is how quantity demanded responds to changes in price. So you can have demand that is elastic, perfectly elastic, inelastic, perfectly inelastic. So now here in this perfect competition market structure, demand is perfectly elastic. So what does this mean? All right. When we say perfectly elastic, it means quantity demanded is very, 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 very sensitive to changes in price. All right. So in this type of market structure, all right, if any of the sellers try to increase the price even by one ngwe, all right, they're going to lose all the customers, all right? Because remember, customers are aware of the prices. Firms are price takers, all right? So now, if you try to just increase the price, even just by two ngwe, three ngwe, you lose customers because customers are aware of the price, which is cheaper than what you're trying to charge. So they're going to go to those other people, right? Then, if you reduce the price, you are going to get all the customers because once you're cheaper than the others, people, we as people want cheaper stuff, so we're all going to come to you. All right. So that's what perfect. When we say demand is perfectly, it's very very sensitive to changes in price. So we're going to also include those cost curves which we looked at earlier, the marginal cost curve. Colleagues, why is the marginal cost curve shaped like this? Are we there? Yes. We've all gone quiet. Why is the marginal cost curve shaped like that? Due to the law of diminishing marginal returns. All right. Due to the law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay, so on the curve for the perfect competition, demand is equal to average revenue, marginal revenue, and price. Right? So what I'm going to illustrate to you is the perfect competition in the short run. We see what happens in the long run. All right. Now, in the short run, only in the short run, this is when a perfect competition can make super normal profits. What someone was about to do. A firm can be making super normal profits. All right. So, how we illustrate that on our graph, all right, you're just going to look for the point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Remember, firms are profit maximizers. All right. So usually in these graphs for all these market structures, most of these market structures, right, you'll be looking first for the point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. All right. So here on our graph, the point is here. All right. This is the point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. So after you find that point, you drop the line like this. You just write letter Q here. Then where this line touches the up. cost curve, take it to the y-axis, right? So that this box which I'm showing here, this is showing the supernormal profits the firm is making in the short run. Now, remember in this market structure, entry and exit into the market is easy. All right. So, for example, let's say people who are selling tomatoes, they are making wonderful profits. All right. Then people who are selling, let's say, green pepper and onions, they see that, okay, the tomato market is actually doing better than onions and green pepper. Let me also switch to the tomato market in order to get some profit. All right. So since entry and exit is easy, a lot of people are going to switch from selling green pepper and onions and they'll start selling tomatoes. All right. So now let's look at this graph to the left. This is the graph for the market. When a lot of people come into the market and start selling tomatoes, what happens to the supply? The supply increases. All right. The supply of tomato increases. So an increase in supply is represented by a shift to the right. So it has to correspond at this point here. Okay. A shift to the right. All right. So this shift, we're going to see how it affects now the curve for this firm. So our demand curve is going to drop. All right. It's going to drop to this point here. In here where I'm drawing this new line here. This is the new demand curve. So now what happens when firms start entering into the market? The profits the firms were seeing earlier on go away. All right. The profits all go away. This is what happens now in the long run when we say that firms are breaking even or earning zero economic profits, or firms are earning normal profits. I like to use normal profits because usually when you use break even, it tends to cause a little bit of confusion, because when you hear break even, you'll be thinking, so then how are the firms how are they supporting themselves in that business? All right. So yes, firms enter, supply curve shifts, all right, dropping the price of the good, all right? And then our demand curve on the market structure, as you see, it goes down, and this represents perfect competition in the long run, right? So the graph for the perfect competition in the long run should look like this, right? Make sure this line, this demand curve, is touching this point here. What did we say the relationship between the marginal cost and the average cost curve is? What's the relationship between these two? Sure. Okay. Colleagues, is it doing the same to everyone? Is it glitching? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, you couldn't see. Ish. Okay, let me let me drink this drink so I re-explain. So because it means I have to re-explain. What I was illustrating there was perfect competition in the short run when firms are making supernormal profits, and in the long run when firms start making normal profits. All right, due to easy entry and exit into this market. All right, when other sellers see that firms are making wonderful profits in that market, and they switch and go into that market. All right, what happens is as they enter, the supply curve shifts. So let me draw it again. Is it glitch? Is it still glitching the screen and my voice? This is the short run for perfect competition. All right. Firms are making profits, supernormal profits in the short run. I say that it's illustrated by this box I'm drawing here, which I'm shading here. Sometimes in the exam, they might ask you to draw this diagram, right, for perfect competition in the short run, right? So what you must remember, the key to drawing it in the short run, just remember the demand curve must be above the average cost curve. All right. Once it's above that, you'll be able to show the profits the firms are making in the short run. Right. In the short run, firms are making wonderful, wonderful profits. Now, since there's easy entry and exit into this market, other sellers will start coming into this market, meaning our supply curve will shift. Am I still in tandem with the drawings? So when the supply curve shifts, because since many people have come into the market and they're selling the same good, it means the supply is going to increase. So when the supply increases, what happens is the price of the product is going to go down. All right. So we have this left shift here. All right, presenting a drop in price. So in our perfect competition graph, this demand curve going to shift downwards. Right? It's going to shift downwards. And then we draw our line here. Right? Remember, marginal cost curve cuts the average cost curve at its minimum point. Right? So you will look for that point, then you draw the line here like this. So it means in the long run, these profits the firms were enjoying in the short run disappear due to new firms entering into the market. So your demand curve will shift, and now your graph is going to look like this. And yeah, your graph is going to look like this. Yes. Now, this is perfect competition in the long run when firms are just earning normal profits. That was what I was trying to illustrate. Any questions before we go further? Now I want to talk about productive efficiency and allocative efficiency, because other times they usually ask questions on this. And one thing you just must remember is that in the long run, firms are productively efficient and allocatively efficient. That's one point you should remember. And it's the only market structure which is both productively efficient and allocatively efficient. The rest are not. So, first we're going to talk about allocative efficiency and then productive efficiency. All right. So, allocative efficiency, this is where firms are producing to satisfy, all right, the consumer's needs and wants. All right. That's what allocative efficiency is, right? The point of allocative efficiency is where marginal cost equals average revenue. Allocative efficiency, all right? We are producing to satisfy the consumers' needs and wants, all right? In your assignment, it was that point which the socially optimal, forgotten what they called it again in your assignment 2, that point they ask about for the monopolistic competition where it's not producing at the social optimal point. Then they were talking about allocative efficiency. Then we have productive efficiency. All right. This is the point. Productive efficiency, this is where firms are producing at the lowest average total cost. All right. So it's the point where marginal cost equals average total cost. Right. That's the point of productive efficiency. So we're going to now look for these points first in the long run and in the short run. Okay. So productive efficiency. All right. And then the final point we always have to look for again is the point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue, the point of profit maximization. Right. So let's look in the long run, all right, and see if firms are allocatively and productively efficient. Now, at this point where these three lines intersect, which I'm shading here, all right, at this point here, marginal cost equals marginal revenue. So firms want to produce at this point because this is the point of profit maximization. Then again, marginal cost equals average revenue, right? Remember, demand is also average revenue, marginal revenue, and price. So at this point here, marginal cost equals average revenue, So firms are allocatively efficient, all right, producing to the customer's satisfaction. All right. Then again, at this point here, marginal cost also equals average total cost. All right. So in the long run, in a perfect competition, firms are both allocatively efficient and productively efficient. You will need to write this point down. They usually bring these are the type of funny questions they bring in the multiple choice questions. So in the long run, firm both allocatively efficient, meaning they produce to satisfy customers' needs and wants, and they're productively efficient, meaning they're producing at the lowest average total cost. All right. Yes. Any questions? As I draw for the in the long run, firms in a perfect competition are both allocatively efficient and productively efficient. Allocative efficiency, where firms are producing to satisfy consumers' needs and wants, the socially optimal point. Then productive efficiency, where firms are producing at the lowest average total cost. Marginal cost here, average total cost. All right, so firms are producing here. First and foremost, they want to produce where they are maximizing profit. All right, so at this point here, marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Also, at this point, all right, marginal cost equals average revenue. So firms are allocatively efficient. Right? Remember, here in a perfect competition, the customers are more like the bosses here. All right. So it will be your interest to be allocatively efficient. Okay. But firms are the point of productive efficiency is here, where marginal cost intersects with average total cost, but firms are not producing at this point. All right. So in the short run, firms are only allocatively efficient. All right. They are not productively efficient. They're only allocatively efficient. So you can also write that point down. This- yes, now this is in the short run. Yes, yes. So you're saying in the short run, firms are only allocatively efficient and not productively efficient. I believe this is the only market which is allocatively efficient because when we look at the other ones, I don't remember which one was allocatively efficient. Yes, any questions, colleagues? Okay, then I want to explain the shutdown rule. The shutdown rule is basically if a firm is not able to cover its variable costs, then it should shut down. All right, so here you might be asked about the shutdown rule in the quiz. Just remember the shutdown rule occurs where the average revenue is less than the average variable cost. So let me just illustrate it here. Excuse me. Marginal cost, average total cost, average variable cost. If the demand curve is below both these cost curves, right? Here it's showing that firms are not even able to cover their variable costs, all right? So they need to shut down because, colleagues, what are some of the variable costs which firms incur? So when firms are unable to cover their variable costs, all right, they're unable to cover, that's when they should shut down. If they're able to, for example, if they're able to cover their variable costs, but not their entire total costs, they will be operating at a loss. All right. But the point where they start failing to cover their variable costs, that's the shutdown rule. If you ever hear about the shutdown rule, that is it. It's it's represented here graphically. It also comes a lot in multiple choice questions, so you must be aware of this shutdown rule. And basically, that you have to know about a perfect competition, its characteristics, what happens in the long run, what happens in the short run, when this firm is both allocatively and productively efficient, and also this to know that these firms are also profit maximizers. So usually the key whenever you're dealing with these graphs and that yeah, they have told you to draw a certain situation, all right. Once you draw the graph, the first point you always have to look for is the point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. Once you find that point, that's the point where the firm is producing at. Then now you can look, okay, let's look for the point where it's allocatively efficient and where it's productively efficient. All right. That's how you do these things graphically.